Hi, my name is Stephen McGee and I'm the author of Electrical Forensics. And we're here to take a look at the AC electrical system at my home. Now, my home has a problem that is known as stray voltage. And I get very high voltages on my electrical grounding system. It actually makes me sick. So if I walk around the house barefoot on my electrified tile floors, after several weeks I start becoming sick and I put my shoes on and that sickness clears up. Now, we've had a power cut, and when you have a power cut you can actually see what your electrical grounding system should look like when there is no stray voltage on it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little look at the oscilloscope and we're going to see what my grounding system looks like when the utility company is not feeding stray voltage into my property. And stray voltage is very well known for its biological harm to plants, animals and humans, and it's extensively documented in the dairy industry where it wreaks havoc on farmers, the families and the animals. So let's take a little look at my grounding system, and the grounding system is in yellow and we're currently on a scale of 500 millivolts per division. So the little squares that you can see going up and down, each square is 500 millivolts. And you can see we have a very low voltage, so I'm going to make that scale a little bit bigger so we can actually see what's going on. So we're now on a scale of 50 millivolts per division, and that's what it looks like. So I'm going to expand out the scale. And I actually want to see the frequency content. You can actually see the frequency content right there. So you can see we've got a lot of sine waves in there, and the amplitude is going up and down. We're on 1 microsecond per division right now. And you can actually see the AC waveform. So that red waveform is the 120 volts AC. But it's flat because we have no AC voltage to the home right now, as we have a power cut. So let's go back down into the other direction and see whether we can see any structure to this waveform. So we're going to put on a very low scan. So we have a very slow scan of 1 second per division. And you can see there's a little bit of structure in the waveform at that speed. So let's expand it out a little bit. So we're on a scan of 250 milliseconds per division. And you can clearly see there's some structure to that waveform. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a function on called the fast Fourier transform function. We can see what that gives us. And the fast Fourier transform function analyzes the frequency content of that waveform. So we're on 10 Hertz per division. So you can see we still have a 60 Hertz spike right there. But normally when the AC electrical system on, it's much higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand that out some more. So you can see at 10 kilohertz per division, we do have 10 kilohertz spikes in there. Let's go out a little bit further. So all these spikes here, that's the AM radio band. So these are all, each spike is a radio station. Okay, so we're on 2.5 megahertz per division. So you can see all the interesting stuff is down here. It's in the first 2.5 megahertz. And that is the AM radio stations. So even though we have a power cut, the radio stations are still broadcasting. And I can confirm that because I was actually listening to a battery powered radio when the power cut occurred, and I noticed that we had a power cut because I could hear my alarm system beeping in its fault condition, and it was reporting that the AC electricity had gone. So the radio station is still powered up, they're still broadcasting, and I was still listening to my radio. So we're on 50 kilohertz per division, so 50 kilohertz, each one of these squares going out, and you see there's still a lot of structure in there. So that's what 10 kilohertz per division looks like. And we've got the repeating 10 kilohertz, which I routinely see. And that's 1 kilohertz per division. So we're down at 100 hertz per division, and there's the 60 hertz. So it's all very, very quiet. So I'm going to turn off the FFT. And let's see what we find back on our normal scan. So that's our normal scan. You can see that we don't have any AC waveform on the red scale. We've still got no power. And I'm going to put on my usual time base. And that's what it looks like. So that's my home during a power cut on its AC electrical grounding system. I'm just going to measure what it's doing, and our cycle RMS is 60 millivolts and our peak to peak is 400 millivolts. And the power just came back on. So we now got electricity again. I'm going to have to change the scale. You can see that that grounding waveform is shot right up. And we now have the AC sine wave. And I'm going to change the scale so we can see that grounding system. So the grounding system now is saying it's 200 millivolts RMS, 510. I'm going to have to change the scales to get an accurate measurement. Okay, so that's my grounding system. You can see it's following the AC waveform, and we have a cycle RMS of 270 millivolts right now, and we have a peak to peak of 1.2 volts. And the interesting thing is, it says the frequency is actually 53 kilohertz. So that's what my oscilloscope thinks is the frequency that is on the 60 hertz AC electrical grounding system. It's actually much higher. And you can see it going up and down as loads are getting switched onto the system. And that's pretty typical for my grounding system. So I'm just going to change the scale one more time. And it's reporting 370 millivolts on the RMS, and we have a peak to peak of 1.5 volts on my grounding system. And today that's actually quite low. In the past I've seen my grounding system around 1.5 volts RMS, and that's why I was interacting with the utility company over it, because the limits regarding stray voltage are actually 0.5 volt RMS. So my grounding system goes up to about 3 times above the biological limit, where lots of problems get seen in farmers, their animals, and their families. So that's stray voltage with the power off, and as you saw, stray voltage with the power on. And I'm just going to do a FFT. And we can take a look at the frequency content. So you can see the FFT is quite different now. So we're on 100 hertz per division on the grounding system, and you see the 60 hertz spike right here, and then we've got the other harmonics going out. Let's see the rest of that waveform. So let's go out to 10 kilohertz per division, so that's 10 kilohertz per division. And we can see we've got the 10 kilohertz harmonics repeating. And we're going to go out to 100 kilohertz per division, and you see the AM radio band up here. So it's pretty clean down here. We go to 2.5 megahertz per division. That's what it looks like. So again, everything is centered down by the AM radio band. And we're going to finish off on 100 hertz per division with the 60 hertz AC fundamental harmonic. Hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I wish you the very best of health. Thank you.